talk a little bit about the impact of the internet and how the internet fits into this process. You know, the internet and its importance on the home buying process, it's become more and more important. The internet has had such a changing effect on how the process works. But so many of us think that the internet will take over real estate, and I guess it could, but I'll tell you what, my experience tells us that people want and need the human aspect of buying a home. In our opinion, the internet is a great place to do research. You can get a great idea of what homes costs, what areas you'd like to live in, and you can find out where mortgage rates are generally. But that's really where the effectiveness of the internet stops. If you try to buy on the internet, you're going to miss out on expert guidance to purchase your new home. And if you try to get your mortgage on the internet, you're going to find quite a frustrating experience. In fact, when we have clients telling us that they're going to search on the internet, we tell them that if you can find three people uh, that that will and that make at least one of them a real estate agent that can tell you they've had a great experience getting a loan online, then by all means use the internet. You know, the bottom line here is the internet is a great research tool and can shorten the time it takes you to buy, but you're not going to be able to do everything on the internet. I mean, I've been doing mortgages for over 17 years. And when I buy a house, I have a real estate agent help me. That is their expertise. It's not mine. When I sell a house, I have a real estate agent do it. They have that expertise. I do not. So we highly recommend you using the internet to go out and do some research. But you're really going to want that human aspect, someone there working for you. You know, how's the internet? How's the internet going to negotiate a deal for you or help you with a contract? So keep that in mind. The internet's a great place for research, but when it comes to the practicality of actually helping you buy a house or sell a house, yeah, it's pretty limited in my opinion. All right, let's talk about inspections and appraisals. We've kind of hit on those earlier, but I want to go into a little more detail. We feel that getting a whole house inspection is something that every home buyer should do. Don't try to go cheap and not get an inspection done. You know, even if you're buying that brand new house, an inspector can be very worthwhile for you. One issue, though, to be careful of here with inspectors is who you use. Now, I know there's one school of thought that if you use the one that your agent refers to, that there could be a bit of a conflict of interest. These inspectors do feel pressure from the real estate community when they rip a house apart in the inspection. They're between a rock and a hard place. They've got a responsibility to you, and they're concerned with being blackballed by the real estate community. So maybe, how about a suggestion would be to the possibility of finding your own inspector and hire them yourself. That way, maybe, that at least that particular agent doesn't have any undue influence over them. The appraisal is where an impartial third-party professional gives their estimation of the home's value using comparable sales. That means that houses that were comparable to yours that have sold in the last 6 to 12 months, and they want to find them as close to your house as possible. And this is another area where you should be careful. There have been a significant increase of inflated or fraudulent appraisals. And it's tough to know if that's what's going on, but it mostly happens when a majority of the providers are involved in the transaction. So if your real estate agent is selling you one of their listings, or someone they know really well sends you to their lender that uses their appraiser and the closing is done at their title company, honestly, this is about the only way that this can happen on a home purchase unless there's people not paying attention. Because if a real estate agent's doing their job and the appraisal comes in really high, then they should know it. All right. So in order for you to get hoodwinked under these, you really on a purchase, they almost all have to be involved with it. Now, don't get me wrong. Not all transactions like this are fraudulent. It's just much easier to pull it off if everybody's in on it. Now, luckily, most providers are above board, so the chances of this happening are pretty low. Now, it may sound somewhat peculiar to have a mortgage guy telling you that I recommend using my appraiser over anybody else you could bring to the transaction, but that's what I would tell you. I've worked with my appraiser for more than 6 years, and I trust that his values are not inflated. I know there are a lot of poor appraisers out there, and I'm partial to mine, because I know him and I know he will pull out all the stops to get things done for us when we need them done. But most importantly, he's not going to overvalue the property. So that is key because I have a fiduciary responsibility to you and to my client and to the funding source, the lender. Now I'm sure there's many other reputable lenders that have similar relationships. But some use this relationship to inflate values. Now, I would not include those under the list of reputable lenders. Unfortunately, there's no one set way to uncover these companies. My advice is to go with your gut feeling. If you think something doesn't feel right during the process, especially with the appraisal, then discuss your concerns with your real estate agent. Maybe check out on the internet. Go and find out, or have your agent show you the comparables for the house that you're buying to see if they really are inflated. And if it gets to a point where you're that uncomfortable, go to another lender. By all means, don't just feel guilty that you should stay with a lender if you're having that sinking suspicion in your stomach. Because all right, what if I lose my job? This is the biggest fear. If it's not the biggest, I don't know what is, but it's got to be the biggest fear that people have when it comes to buying a house is, what if I lose my job? What if I lose my job? Well, now think about it like this. Outside of if you're living at home with your parents or somewhere else rent free, how would it be different for you if you lost your job right now? If you rent now and lost your job, so you couldn't pay your rent, how long would it be before the landlord could kick you out? You know what? Depending on how quickly they act, it could be in 30 to 45 days or less. Well, where would you live then? Do you think someone else would rent you with an eviction on your record? An eviction is just about as bad on your credit as a foreclosure. So there's no big advantage there either. Whereas if you owned your home, you would likely have many more options. See, lenders don't like to foreclose, and that process takes much longer than an eviction. Normally no action is taken until you're 90 days behind on your payments. And many times if your economic struggles were temporary and you're now past them, the lender will work with you to get things back on track. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not all rosy. It's a stressful time, and it can take a lot of work on your part to get them to help you out. But the bottom line is, if the fear of losing your job is what's keeping you from buying right now, then you should go ahead and buy, because you'd have a place to live a lot longer if you are buying a house rather than renting. Now, I'm not saying buy a house and try to lose your job. I'm just saying it's that fear we have about this, about losing our job, is not a reality. If you got money for a down payment and you kept it in your pocket, thus getting a larger loan, we talked about that earlier, then if you lost your job, you would be able to easily access that money to help weather the financial storm. Whereas, if you had that money in your house, you probably wouldn't be able to access it unless you could sell your house quickly, which usually equates to a below market sale, so you would lose money doing it that way. Hopefully you're beginning to see that there are better ways of handling the way you buy and finance a new house. If you'd like more information that you want to read without the pressure from someone hounding you to buy, you can go to my website at www.kcmortgageplanning.com. That's www.kcmortgageplanning.com. We have several articles there, and I actually have a new blog there. You can click on the front page. It'll tell you the blog. Click on there and read the blog. It's got lots of different articles about this, and we talk about this on our radio show too, that airs on Monday evenings from 5 to 6 on 1140 and 1160 a.m. But if you would like to speak with us more, have more questions, or possibly get your credit situation checked out and make sure that you've got that all set up, give us a call at 816-415-1737. That's 816-415-1737. My name is Kurt Jackson. I'm a certified mortgage planning specialist, and I would be happy to help you. Thanks for watching the video.